Okay, here we go. All right. So, welcome to today's meditation practice. And today we're going to work on being fully present. And so, hopefully, you've got some kind of food item or maybe a water bottle. Now, if you've got a water bottle or a water glass, if your water bottle's like mine, it's metal, you might want to open the cap so you can look in at what you're drinking, because we're going to go through a whole phase of what we were exploring with our food. And I'm like dodging the beams of light, but that's okay. So, a little bit about the kind of uh, living in the moment is kind of one of the things they call it. Mindful has gotten to be kind of a trendy word, so I'll try to use a little different word, which is that being present or in the moment. And a lot of times, like even like Zen and Christian monks, they're living in a situation where they try to make their daily life a part of their spiritual practice. So they're just focusing on what they're doing. And so there's this Zen saying, and it's when you walk, walk. When you eat, eat. So we're going to try the eat part today and just explore it a little. And it's that idea, again, of focusing on what task you're doing in the moment and trying to not let the whole world just distract you, which can be pretty difficult for all of us. So I'm going to have you grab whatever little food or drink product you decided to use today. And again, it can be simple. It's all good. And the first thing we're going to do is look at our item. I've got just a plain old ordinary orange carrot here. An apple would work well. And I want you to really look at it. So if it's a bottle of water or a glass of water, look at your water. Maybe it's a cup of coffee. Either way, it's all good. So look at the color. Is it like really, really orange, like my carrot? Maybe as an apple, it'll have multiple colors. If it's a glass of water, it might be clear. Coffee's got that tint to it. Whatever it is, just spend a little time really looking at it. So notice changes in color in different parts. So like if it's a liquid, maybe there's like some bubbles around the edges that you can see. The carrot I've got here, there's some smooth, shinier parts where it's more intense orange. And then there's some kind of like almost dusky or, blushy kind of colors to it. Notice any irregularities. So my carrot down here near the tip has a little crack in it. Just kind of look it over and really look at it and really see it. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is feel our chosen object. So you get to fondle your food now. And again, the water, same thing. So put your hands on it. Is it cool? Maybe it's kind of room temperature, or it might be warm. Maybe you've got that coffee cup with something warm in it. Just kind of feel it. If you've got the water bottle or water glass and you want to stick your finger down in and touch the wetness, you can do that. Just kind of notice, is it a smooth texture? Are there little bumps? You might want to close your eyes while you're touching, just to kind of block out that visual that's so overwhelming. We're such visual creatures, and really focus on that touch and what you're feeling. I can feel that little crack that I was telling you about there. So just maybe it's bumpy, maybe it's fuzzy. Just, again, fondling your food, having fun with it. So the next thing we are going to try here is we're going to smell. our chosen item. And so the sense of smell is very important for our sense of taste. You might again want to close your eyes for this, again, just to kind of block out the visual distractions and just focus on the smell. Some of you, I don't have a super strong sense of smell. Some people have very intense ones. It's been kind of a lot of talk about with COVID that people lose their sense of smell, but just, bring it up close and really smell. Do you smell that carrotiness maybe, or the appleness, or the water, or your coffee? Get your nose in there. So when people are doing wine tastings, that's part of the whole procedure is they stick their nose in the glass and really smell it. And I can't do it, but they detect all kinds of different fancy smells when they're talking about wine tasting. Coffee tasting is the same thing. They smell chocolate or whatever, fruit. But really just kind of notice the scent that you're having here. So when I'm shopping for veggies and fruits, especially tomatoes and cantaloupes for me, if they don't smell like a tomato or like a cantaloupe, I know they're not going to have a lot of flavor. So that sense of smell can be a really important part of our experience. So now you're going to actually get to do the sort of the fun part of it in the sense of, or what we're all waiting for when we're eating, which is going to take a bite. But I want you to just take a little tiny bite. Now I'm going to not be able to fully do this because I got to have my mouth able to talk. You're going to take the tiniest little bite or the tiny little sip, and I want you to keep it in your mouth. So don't start chewing and don't start swallowing, but I want you to listen when you do this. Maybe you'll hear slurping if you're drinking, or a crunch when I bite the carrot. When, as I said, I can't fully participate and talk, but kind of roll it around in your mouth. And, feel it with your tongue. If you bit into an apple, a lot of times you get that, texture of the skin with kind of maybe even sharp edges of the skin, and then that different texture of the inside with the fruity part. Maybe it's juicy, or maybe it's kind of dry. Just again, let your, if you have coffee, maybe you have a little cream in there and it's got that kind of that oily, fatty flavoring kind of feel in your mouth. So really experience that feeling in your mouth. And now I will allow you to start chewing a little if you've got a chew going, if you've got a food, but chew it, really chew it. Don't just swallow kind of thing. Take a little time to really thoroughly chew it and feel what it feels like when you're chewing. Or again, if you've got a liquid, keep kind of swirling it around and sensing that thing of that there's liquid on your tongue and what you're having happen here. And now you're going to, hopefully you've chewed it enough, you're going to get to swallow. So let that sensation of swallowing also be something you have an awareness of. So how it feels when it gets to the back of your throat, or maybe even sometimes you actually even feel it passing down through your body into your chest and on down into your stomach. Really just kind of get that awareness again, focus, close your eyes if you have to really focus yourself inward for this, but getting that sensation of that full actual consuming. And now that you've swallowed, I want you to take a moment to see what your sensation is in your mouth after you've swallowed. So there's probably some kind of aftertaste, even with water. You get some kind of a follow-up taste in your mouth. So kind of get in touch with that. Maybe you got little bits of like chewed up carrot or apple kind of caught in your teeth, and you can feel those in your mouth when you're kind of making that tongue explore. And there might be an aftertaste that's bitter if it was coffee, or even some foods kind of have a bitter aftertaste. People don't always like broccoli because it has kind of more of a bitterness to it. So again, we're just kind of getting that experience of fully tasting and experiencing something as simple as a single bite of food, or a simple single sip of a fluid in our life. And trying to do that, I don't expect you to do that every time you eat. It's impossible. We are coming up on that season where eating can be kind of important. Maybe once or twice a week, when you're doing a snack, just kind of take a little time to think about exploring it the way we just did here, where you really get that experience of fully focusing on what you're doing. And even when you're preparing food, that smells that happen around. So try to just bring that into different parts of your life. And like everything else, when we're learning to meditate, it's a learned skill. So you're not going to be good at it right at the start. And, sometimes it's going to be easier than other times. If you're doing some kind of, just as I said, a little practice here where you're trying to focus on that food or other thing, just really give yourself that chance to just take a little bit longer instead of just shoveling the food in while you're, driving around or whatever. And maybe can enjoy some of those holiday treats a little more by doing it this way. Some of those holiday favorite foods that you look forward to, just kind of give it that extra little something, something to kind of have that experience. So I hope you enjoyed your little food experiment here. And this is just, as I said, food is just one thing. So if you're working in the garden, and you're digging, notice those smells when you're digging. If you're raking the leaves, notice the smells, notice the sounds. Really try to just maybe take a little moment, and you're not going to be able to do it again the whole time you're doing it, but just take maybe just a second to kind of think about what you're doing as a part of your daily activities and those things that we take granted of in life, and bring yourself to that mindfulness or that fully present, and experiment. Try it with different things, see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I really want to thank you for that. And it looks like I have time. I can fit it in really quick. So I did want to talk a little bit about one other thing that I've kind of incorporated in my daily life. So it's kind of my computer turning on for the day thing. I was one of those people, I turn the computer on, the first thing I'm looking at all those emails and maybe the news stuff, and it was making me all stressed out. And I started doing this a few years ago. And so now I kind of disciplined myself that when I turn the computer on the first thing in the morning, I have like a little thing where they have daily readings, so I'll read that. And the other thing I've been doing is I spend a few minutes, I set the timer on my phone, and I look at it's the Cornell feeder, live feeders. And they have my favorite one is the one from Panama, the Panama fruit feeder. And because in the dead of winter, it's all this beautiful greenery and these tropical birds. And I just spend a few minutes, I might be sipping my coffee, but I do look at a beautiful view for a few minutes, and I find it really starts my day a little better. So see how it goes. with your mindfulness today. And thank you for joining me.